Happy Sunday, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and being with me today, right now. Just hold up. I'm waiting for everything to get set up. Usually takes a minute for all of that to happen, but as always, I want to know how are you guys doing? Whatever time, whatever day you're tuning to watch this, how are you? Truly, how have you been? How was your week? How was your day? How was your night going? Let me know down in the comment section, okay? And of course, I love asking this question for regardless of when you're tuning in to watch this, it's what have you learned and how have you grown today in the last week, in the last month? I love to know from you because we can learn so much from each other just from watching each other's journey, from each other's shares. There are things you might share with someone who actually needs to hear that particular thing. So don't shy off of that because you never know what particular thing you might say or do and how it might actually impact someone else. So never close yourself off from doing that because honestly, you really have no idea what kind of impact you can actually have. Even if it's not right now, regardless of when someone is going to tune in and maybe see your comment or I don't know, you never know what kind of impact you might have with just one tiny sentence. I know I've experienced the same from so many of the things that I'm tuning into right now. Like some of my teachers have been in I want to say the YouTube space for such a long time, and I didn't even know they existed. But the very fact that they kept showing up and kept on showing up and all of that, that's why how I want to say that their videos or their information came into my view because they kept showing up. So if at whatever point they decided, I'm just gonna stop because maybe of the negative feedback that was coming from probably the people who are watching them at that time, then I wouldn't have been able to tap into that. So I always say you never know how much of an impact you might have in someone's life, even if it's not right now. It could be 10 years from now, 5 years from now, it doesn't matter. So keep honoring it yourself. If you feel called to do something, go and do it. Don't second guess yourself because you never know what kind of intuition you're tapping into in that moment. So never hold yourself back because you're so scared of how the world is going to judge you for that. Okay. Anyway, that's besides the point. So let me share about my week. There's a certain practice that I actually started, I want to say 3 weeks ago. I think it was 3 weeks ago, if I'm not wrong. And the practice is just journaling about all the different synchronicities that I noticed in my day, which actually ties into whatever I want to talk about today. So I just started a journal where every day, anything that happens that is taps into synchronicity, those kind of little things that you kind of miss out on a day, like maybe someone just remembered to call you just when you were thinking of them, or you happen to come across some money lying on the ground, just tiny little things like that or coming across a certain message on WhatsApp or on YouTube or in a video, in a movie, in a song that really touches you in that moment, that makes you think like, hold up, was that message meant for me? Those kind of synchronicities, a lot of us never pay attention to that because we're so focused on, I want to manifest the big things, the money, the health, the relationships, and all of that. Now we miss out on the little tiny things that are always making our days magical. And honestly, when I started doing this 3 weeks ago, I wasn't expecting to be writing about so much. But the very fact that I was actually putting my focus on noticing all those little moments for myself during the day, I'm almost filling up a job. If I'm not halfway, I don't know, like, because it's a couple of pages of just me writing about so many synchronicities that happen within the day. Okay. I've been paying attention to that. And the more I do that, the more and more I notice that something happens. I'm like, hold up. I really wanted, and it could be something as small as I'm really thinking about eating a particular meal and it's not in my vicinity at that time. But I just had a thought, and then all of a sudden, someone brings the meal over to the house or something. And I'm like, How did that happen? That's synchronicity. But most people don't pay attention to that. You just assume, ah, that was just a coincidence. But it wasn't. That was actually you manifesting that into your reality. You were just not paying attention. So start paying attention, and you will literally notice so much magic happening in your life. Okay. So it's a beautiful practice that you can start tapping into. Just get a journal and start writing any synchronicity that happens to you in a day. Okay. Keep in mind that you're gonna note it down, even if you're not even able to note it down in the moment that it happens. Just note it down in your mind, and when you have the time, sit down and actually write the synchronicities. Remember, the more and more you pay attention to those kind of things, the more and more the universe wants to bring them to you because you're paying attention. So you'll find that your life becomes more guided through synchronicity. You'll be seeing different things that just, make your day so special. Okay. So that will be my advice to you. The other thing is I want to share is something that I did yesterday with a group of friends. We just met up, just an online group, okay? So nothing, it wasn't a physical meetup, it was just online on Zoom, where we just sat down and we meditated for 24, like almost 30 minutes on just sending out peace, sending out prayers to all those areas in the world that are currently struggling, or anyone that we know of that was struggling at that moment. It was just a powerful 30-minute exercise. Like, we went really, really deep with that meditation. And I remember coming out of that and just thinking that I wish more of us could be doing more of this on any given day. Like, can you imagine that's 1,000, or I don't even know. Right now, the maximum amount in my head is like 1,000 people. 1,000 is still a lot. Like 1,000 people just meeting online to meditate on peace. That will be such a powerful exercise. And trust me, if we did more of that and intention to be sending out positive, peaceful vibes all like throughout the world, something is bound to shift, both in our vicinity and also in the world. I strongly believe in that. And the reason for this is that there's a certain experiment that was done. I'm not so sure when it was done, but it's called the Maharishi effect. I hope I say that right. Maharishi effect. And by the way, Google it if you want to know more about it. But basically, the experiment that they did was they brought a group of monks to a crime-ridden area. Okay. And the only thing that these monks were doing was just meditating for some time. I don't know how long it was. I don't know if it was weeks or months, but just by them meditating, it was the group of monks represented, I think, like 1% of the population in that city at that time. The crime rate in that city was actually reduced by a certain percentage. I think it was between 11 or 16%, one of them. So I'm not sure. But just go research it. It's a beautiful experiment, Maharishi effect, and just see how much power there is in so many people just tapping into those kind of vibrations of peace, love, of compassion, of forgiveness. If more and more people were able to do that, do you really think that the world will not be able to change? Okay. So that's something that me and my friends have intention that at least every month, I wish we could even do it more often, but at least once a month, that's something we're going to be doing. Just meet up, because there's so much power that happens when you're doing like with the group effect meditation. Compared to if you're just meditating by yourself, you can actually effect so much change from a group of us actually tapping into that. So if you're able to do that, if you love meditation and you can get a group of people to do that, I'd encourage more of us to do that. Hopefully, even at the same time, I wish you could have set that up that even if it's not tapping into the same meditation, but the very fact that we're tapping into the vibration of love and peace at the same time, so much change can happen. I strongly believe that. Okay. And this ties into what I want to talk about today. There's a certain phrase that I heard a while back. I can't remember if it was but I'm sure it was when I was younger. And this is something that Mother Teresa used to say, that if you call me for a rally about anti-war, I'm never gonna come. But by all means, if you ever call me for a pro-peace rally, I'm gonna attend. And I remember back then, listening to that, and it never made sense to me because, like, isn't it the same thing? Anti-war and pro-peace. It's the same effect, right? But in actual sense, it's really not the same thing because one causes you to focus so much on the war part, and the other focuses on the desired effect, which is peace. It might look like you're all working towards the same thing, but it's really not. Remember, the universe does not understand the word no or I don't want, or those kind of negative modifiers like I you get what I mean, right? So it doesn't understand that I don't want to see war. It just sees war because that's what you're focused on. War. Like your energy is focused on that. The words you use have the power to bring more of that into your life. So if you're saying that I don't want war, the universe doesn't understand that I don't want, it just sees or hears the word war. That's what you're putting your focus on. But if you focus on the desired effect, the actual effect that you're calling in, which is peace, then what you're signifying to the universe that you want more of is peace in the world. And there's a huge, huge difference in that. And I want you, if you're watching this, to really look at your life path. Do you know those times that you normally find where you're complaining about a certain thing, right? Like, I don't want to be experiencing like so much traffic. Like, it's so annoying me being stuck in traffic. But the very fact that you're saying you're stuck in traffic is just making your trap more of the traffic. I'm just giving this as an example, okay? But if you say that I just want to have a small ride to work and I want you to practice that, see how that goes compared to you complaining and putting so much energy on the word traffic. Because traffic signifies to the universe that, oh, you want more traffic. So I'm going to bring you more of that. Okay, so really paying attention to where we're putting our focus, the words we use. We might assume that we're speaking against something, but in actual sense, we're feeding more of that. And I wish the world will actually get it, especially in the crazy times that we live in, where there is so much um, chaos happening around the world. And I know so many people are so it's a natural egotistical kind of like reaction where we want to sit down and just complain about the negative state of things. It's very easy to get sucked into that. Remember, our ego mind feeds on that kind of vibration. It's very satiating. It's very easy to just sit down and just complain about what our leaders are doing, what the community is doing, how people are in the world. It feels good, to be honest. Sometimes it does feel good, but the more and more we're doing that, we're not saying or we're not actually getting the kind of change that we want. We're just bringing more of that into our life. Okay. I'll give you an example. Like, I'm trying to think of if this is a good example or not, but I'm literally running out of words to say this is what happens when you go live and you're trying to find the right words. But okay, fine. Yeah, I think I found my thoughts. For example, there is a period in time that the word racism, okay, I don't experience racism in my country, okay? So because I live in a third world country. So for us, like it's an African country, Kenya, right? So we don't have racism here. We have tribalism and all of that. So I'll speak about racism in terms of the US because that's what we're exposed to all the time, like on internet and um, the kind of media that's there. Like there was a period of time that race was not so much of an issue, right? Like no one was being like, I think it had become like um acceptable or like people were not really judging each other. Or if it was there, there was not so much strife between the different races. And then all of a sudden, so many people started speaking against it. And then now the the whole race thing became such a big deal as compared to how it was before. I'm not saying that it wasn't an underlying issue per se, because it must have been there, but the desired effect or the effect that the people who were speaking out against it was we don't want to see more of it. Okay. I remember I'll speak on my point of view. Okay. the very fact that I got so, because of course I don't like seeing people being discriminated against just because they're of a different tribe, they're different race, different geographical backgrounds, different genders and all of that. I don't believe in that. I believe in honestly equal rights for all of us, regardless of which side of the divide. You should never be discriminated against because of your physical state. I don't believe in that. So anytime I will see the whole racism thing being portrayed by the media, it will make me so angry. So I was putting so much focus on that. And guess what happened? Because my mind was so involved and getting angry and getting and feeling such despair and sadness, the universe now started bringing more of those situations into my life. Now, all of a sudden, anytime I turned on my social media, that's all I'll see. You will see the videos of the different and allow me to say this. I don't want to say this, but it's the best thing I can say. But you'll see like videos of people talking about the different um no, I'm actually not gonna say this live because I don't want to put more focus on that. But you will see the videos of so much racism being orchestrated all over the world. It wasn't just even in America, it was literally all over the world on social media. Everyone will be talking about it. And the reason why I was noticing more of this is because my entire focus was on how sad that entire situation was. So now all of a sudden, something that was not even in my mind, or I was not even paying attention to, or was not even affecting me directly. Remember, we don't have racism in my country. Yes, we do have the tribalism aspect, but we don't have racism because everyone looks the same here. But the very fact that I was paying attention to that, guess what? That's all I will see all around me. Everywhere I go, that's what people are talking about. Oh, have you seen this video? Oh, have you had this? Oh, have you had that? My YouTube feed, my Facebook feed, my Instagram feed was just filled with such videos because that is where I was putting most of my attention on. And I'm sure if you look at even your own life, right? Something that you will never have even thought to pay attention to all of a sudden, because everyone is talking about it, your curiosity gets the part of you, right? And you want to like, what is this? What is this that people are talking about? And then you start consuming that. And then guess what? Everywhere you walk around, everywhere you go, that's all people are talking about because that's where your mind and your focus is at. So we always assume that, yes, we're going to speak against this thing and all of that, and that's going to make that die down. But guess what? We're just feeding more of that. We're just feeding more of that energy that we do not want. Okay. And especially in this world where there's so much happening, like it's crazy. Today in the morning, like I heard a certain, um, I want to say story about my country or something that's just about to happen in my country. And it made me so sad that so many people are not as aware as I'd hope we were, all of us were at this time because there's so much happening in the country. It made me so sad and it really messed up my mood for most of the day. Literally, that's how affected I was. And the reason I'm talking about this is that the state that you really want to aim for is, I'm not saying turn your back and become so ignorant that you're not even aware of what's happening in the world. Of course, you still want to know, right? If there was a snake up ahead your road and someone came and told you that, hey, don't go down this path, there's a snake there, gonna bite you, are you gonna go there? Right? Because essentially that person is just empowering you to know what to avoid. So if at all you were heading towards that road, now with that knowledge that you have that there's a snake up ahead, you're gonna make the most logical choice of I'm gonna avoid that path. So by all means, I'm not saying do not listen because at some point hearing such news is unavoidable. It's all over, right? Unless you're living by yourself on an island and there's no way of you communicating with the world, you're gonna come across this information at some point in time. So that is unavoidable. Those are the things you just say. This is something you just have to accept. Okay, it's part of how the world lives. You cannot avoid it as long as you're still living in this world, as long as you're still interacting with the population. But just because you hear it doesn't mean that you have to feed that energy. And how do you feed that energy? It's by constantly talking about it, it's by constantly thinking about it. The various arguments, philosophical arguments you have with the various people, thinking that, oh, I'm going to prove that, this side is the best side and all of that, and I have to argue my points. And you're thinking that you're doing your part in speaking against this thing, but again, you're not doing that. You're just feeding more of that thing that you do not want to see in the world. And guess what? Before you know it, everywhere you go, that's all you'll be seeing around you. And you'll be thinking, oh my God, the world is just so messed up. So, back to the example I was giving with myself, when I was consuming that kind of content, because everywhere I'd go, I'd just see it and I'd get so mad. I actually got into a point where I thought, this is all there is in the world. There is so much negativity and so much hatred. But that was not the case. It's only because I was paying attention to that, and that's all that was being brought into my vicinity. But the minute I made the conscious decision of, you know what, I'm done with this, I'm done paying attention to this. I'm going to try and find the goodness in everything, the goodness in people. Guess what? Even the information that was coming my way was not so information that would make me feel so much despair. All of a sudden, I started seeing incredible videos of so many beautiful acts of compassion, of humanity happening all over the world that I wasn't aware of before because my mind was so consumed with the negative aspects. So do you see how powerful it is if we all just shifted our focus and stop focusing on the negative and actually focus more on what we want to see in the world? Okay. I know the kind of media we have right now thrives on the negative, on making you feel fear and despair, because that is what sells. Remember the feeding, the ego, that is where the ego thrives, the ego mind thrives. So if you want to continue consuming and feeling the anger and the despair and the fear, because it's satiating the ego mind. So you, if you're watching this, have to make that conscious decision that I'm done. I don't want to see this more. I don't want to see more of this in the world. I want to see more compassion, more love, more forgiveness, more humanity towards each other. And the more and more of us are doing that, guess what? Even the media, and this is something that I pray for, is gonna have to change. Can you imagine a world where we just all emphatically just stated that we're tired of the kind of news you guys are feeding us? We're not going to consume it anymore. We're not going to tune in into stations that only have fear and despair to sell, right? We're not going to buy the newspapers, the magazines. We're not going to consume the social media um, information that's out there that's only filled with negativity. We only want to see more positivity in the world. If all of us actually made that conscious decision, and mind you, based on the Maharishi effect experiment that I was talking about earlier, that I'm still encouraging you to go read about, it doesn't even have to be all of us. That's the beauty of it. Just a small percentage of the population. So we don't need the over 8 billion people to be thinking about peace. We just need a percentage of that. In the Maharishi experiment, it was again 1% of the population. The Buddhist monks, there weren't that many that were brought into that city, but all just, I would say, I don't know if it was 20 or 16 monks. I can't remember the number, but there was such a small number compared to the large population in the city. And just by them meditating, just meditating, not them going out in the streets and picketing and saying, we don't want crime, we don't want this, just from them meditating. The crime rate in that city reduced by 16%. Imagine how powerful that is. That's the much power that you have right now if you just stop paying attention to the things you don't want to see and focus more on the things that you want to see. Okay? And I hope I'm really getting through to anyone who's going to be tuning in to watch this, regardless of when you're actually going to be tuning in. There's a particular movie that I watched again a while back, and I don't even know where to get this movie from, but I just remember this one powerful scene that was in the movie that has never left me. Those kind of powerful scenes that just touch you so much. that they just get imprinted in your mind. That is what happened with this scene. I remember all I remember about this movie was that I don't even know if it was a movie or a series. That's how it was. It was some time back, okay. And I know it was a fantasy film, if I'm not wrong, epic fantasy, I think. But I remember that what was going on in the film was that this particular community of people were getting they had a particular, I don't know if it was a leader or a goddess or something like that, a goddess or a god, okay, that was really making their lives miserable, you know, and had terrorized this group of villagers. It was actually a village, okay? So had terrorized these villagers, made them do things that they didn't want to do, like put them in a state of servitude, right? For the entire duration, right? So the whole film was about empowering these people getting to empower themselves. But the right at the end, and this is how the movie ended, was that all these people, the village now came together and they decided, you know what? They realized that this goddess or god needed for them to keep praying to him or her. I can't remember if it was a god or a goddess, one of them. They needed them to keep praying and paying attention for that to them and being afraid of them for that goddess to continue thriving. I think it was a goddess, okay? So the goddess needed their attention, their servitude, their fear, their acts of service, their all those sacrifices they were making in order to continue thriving, in order to continue being powerful. But right at the very end, these people became empowered and realized that you need us more than we need you. Just that. And you know what they all collectively did? They made a decision that, you know what? We're done praying to you. We're done giving you attention. We're done talking about you. We're just going to turn our backs on you. Just that. All of them collectively decided to do that. And the movie ends with them just turning their backs on this goddess, who at some point earlier in the movie thought that they were the most powerful thing ever. They had so much power from the fear that they were putting these people in. But when they all turned their backs on this goddess and all resolved that we are done giving you our energy, our time, our focus, do you know what happened at the very end of the movie? The goddess just started dematerializing. She could not continue existing because the thing that was feeding her was no longer there. And this is what would happen if we all chose to stop paying attention to all those things that no longer serve us. They will just start dematerializing. Remember that when all these negative things happen, whoever is running the show and keeping the world in a constant state of fear, and despair, they need us to continue feeding that system. So the more and more of us who are feeling disempowered, who are feeling fearful, or feeling all this kind of negative emotions, the more and more we're feeding that system. They need that to thrive. But that could shift in an instant if we all just decided to stop feeding that system. So no giving into despair, no giving into disempowerment, no giving into the fear, no giving into the anger, no giving into the jealousy. You name all those emotions that you normally tap into whenever you see something that you don't want to see. All those emotions. If you stopped and made the conscious decision that I'm done feeding that, just picture what kind of world that would be, right? Because I'm 1,000% sure something will change. So, in the words of Mother Teresa again, it's if you invited me for an anti-war rally, I'm never gonna go. But if you invited me into a pro-peace rally, by all means, I'm going to be there. So let's all focus more on the things that we want to see more of in the world. Okay? So if you like my share today, please let me know down in the comments what your favorite part was. about this particular video, about this particular live. I would love to hear from you. If you're new to my channel and you do like the kind of content I share out here, make sure that you do support my channel by subscribing and also clicking on the notification bell so that you might get alerts for every time I do go live. I go live every Sunday around this time, unless that changes, in which case I'll announce in the community section of this group. So make sure that you're subscribed so that you might be getting alerts or information of whenever those changes might be. And also when I go live, we do rely on the support and I do appreciate any kind of support, any views, any like, any comments that you have or leave on any of my videos on the channel because that lets me know that I'm actually speaking to one of you. So thank you so much. If you're already subscribed, and if again you haven't yet subscribed, please remember to subscribe. And also, I always end my videos by how I can actually help you tap into more of your power by remembering more of who you are. Remember that so many of us have lived our lives so confused, so distracted by all this chaos that's happening that we've completely forgotten who we actually are and what our power is, what our true authentic self is. Okay, because we're so distracted by what everyone else is doing and what is happening around the world, we've lost connection with our true self. So I do work with two modalities, one of which is based on working with Akashic Records. So it's called Soul Alignment. So Soul Alignment is about connecting you to who you actually are at soul level. Remember that your soul has lived so many lifetimes. And if at all you were making negative choices in the past based on who you are, and remember that in the world we live in, a lot of us have lived such disempowered past lives because that was how we operated, right? We didn't really have so much freedom as we have right now. So a lot of us are operating with that negative karma in our blueprint. We've completely disconnected from who we were designed to be and our soul level gifts that we were supposed to actually leverage to help us create a better human experience for ourselves. And if you do living in this world right now and maybe you have zero idea of who you are, what makes you unique, what authentic gifts you have to share with the world. If you're watching this, then probably Soul Element is for you and it can actually help you reconnect with that aspect of yourself, reconnect with the soul level gifts that you were given to create a better human experience for yourself. And the best thing about Solar Element is that it helps you get to connect to uh, the particular lifetime that your soul started making negative choices, that choices that you're actually still making right now. So a lot of people, or what happens with the karmic blueprint that we have is that those negative choices that we made in the past get imprinted in our karmic blueprint. So any lifetime that we get incarnated into, we keep on attracting the same set of circumstances, the same kind of people, the same kind of experiences, because your soul wants to resolve this karma for itself. But the mistake that we make is that because we have zero awareness of what those choices are, we keep on repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. So the beauty of soul alignment is that it actually reconnects you with that particular soul story, that particular lifetime that you started making negative choices, and helping you be aware of what choices you made then that you're still repeating right now. You're probably attracting the same kind of people, the same kind of experiences because of this, because you haven't started making different choices that are more aligned with who you are. And once you have awareness of that and how to show up better and a more authentic version of yourself going forward, then you get to energetically heal this karmic blueprint so that going forward, you're no longer attracting the same kind of circumstances. But the beauty of soul element is that it empowers you, it puts you in a state of power because now going forward, based on now the knowledge you have and awareness of how you're supposed to be showing up in the world, it also impacts the kind of choices and the kind of people that you're allowing to be in your life. Remember, it puts you back into that state of power. So you're no longer operating from a sense of, I don't know, why is this happening in my life? It's putting you back in control of being aware of, I'm the one with the power. I'm the one with the choice. I can choose to engage with this or not. Remember, every one of us is actually has that kind of power inside of them. But if you're not aware of what that is, you'll keep on repeating the same mistakes. Okay. If you're curious about this and maybe you want to learn more, I do have a special offer for mini soul alignment reading. I don't know how long I'm gonna have this offer for. So if you're watching this and maybe you're curious and you're not ready to yet commit to a full soul alignment reading, you can check out the link down below in the description box. Book a soul alignment reading, a mini or a full soul element reading if that is what you feel called to. And if maybe you probably have more questions about this, you can go ahead and book a 15 to 30-minute discovery call, and you can ask any question just to confirm if this reading is a right fit for you. Or you can go ahead and connect with me on Facebook or Instagram on direct message and just ask any questions you have for me, and we can determine if soul alignment is a good fit for whatever you're going through in your life right now. The second modality I do work with is called quantum flow. So quantum flow is all about rewiring your nervous system. Okay. So it uses the sound, breath work, and movement to help rewire your nervous system. So a lot of the circumstances, a lot of the trauma, a lot of the emotional wounds that we've experienced all the way from childhood always get recorded within our body, within our unconscious mind, which is connected to our nervous system. It's a whole process that actually creates certain kind of crystallizations within your nervous system that prevents the normal flow of energy within your body, within your physical being, which actually impacts different areas of your of your well-being. Okay, so it affects your physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your energetic well-being. If the energy is not flowing in the way it's supposed to flow, based on the energy or the particular storage of the past emotional wounds, the past trauma that you've actually encountered in your life. So what quantum flow does is that it breaks down these memories, these patterns within your nervous system, gets the energy flowing again, and just by doing that, you're able to tap into higher states of well-being in your physical, in your mental, in your emotional, in your spiritual, in your energetic well-being. The beauty about soul about quantum flow is that it doesn't just focus on working with the mind, which is where a lot of modalities are focused on. It actually helps you to rewire your entire being. Okay. So not just on a mind level, but also on a physical level. And that actually helps you to accelerate your healing process, accelerate your growth. So something that could have probably taken you 2, 3, 5 years to figure out, just working on your mind with combining with quantum flow, it will take you just a couple of months. Okay. So remember that all those patterns, all those wounds are still not just recorded within your mind, but also within your body. So if you're not also working to rewire yourself at a body level, then your healing or your growth will probably take a much longer period than is actually necessary. So if any of this sounds interesting and maybe you want to have a small taste of this, I do have a free meditation, a quantum flow meditation that you can get to have a bit of a taste of what quantum flow is. But remember, it's just a small taste. Quantum flow is so much bigger than whatever you get in this meditation. So you can get the link to that down below in the description box. Or if you have more questions just to know if maybe this is the right fit for you, you can book a discovery call or connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. But if you're just ready to just say yes, and I'm ready to say yes to my healing and accelerating my growth in this way, you can go ahead and book sessions with me. I do have one-on-one sessions right now. That's all I'm offering. So you get to work hand in hand with me. You can book one session, one-off session, which in itself will be powerful. Although I would normally recommend that if you really want to experience the powerful effect of quantum flow, it's something that you need to incorporate into your daily routine. So not just a one-off routine, but something you have to constantly do. And within a couple of months, a couple of weeks, trust me, if you're doing this and making this a habit, you're going to notice significant results in your life. If you're curious about this, you can go ahead and book sessions with me down below. I have an 8-week offer right now that's actually discounted. So I will highly recommend that if you want to really incorporate quantum flow as your normal state of operation. Okay. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope I will see you on the next live, which will be next Sunday at the same time. Okay, so sending you so much love and sending you so much positive vibes. Remember, focus more on what you want to see of and not what you do not want to see of. Okay, so check out the video, really make sure you integrate the lessons and the insights that I've shared in this video.